all of us Lion King fans have wondered, how is the Lion Guard canon to the Lion King? Even as a big fan of the Lion Guard, I must admit it just doesn't make sense. I love that show, but I believe it happens in a separate timeline. Some of the reasons being these questions. How was Scar still around when Simba was born, despite killing his guard years before that? Didn't he get banished or anything? How could Mufasa trust his brother after he committed such a crime? And this fan comic exists to answer those questions. It will try to put Lion Guard and Lion King in the same canon, and it will work as a prequel to the Lion King and as the backstory of Scar and his descent into villainy. If you are afraid that this story will make Scar sympathetic, don't worry. In this one, he was evil from the beginning. In this story, Scar is evil because he chose to be, and it is not because of being bullied or a snake's venom. Those stuff did in fact happen, but in the end, it is Scar's fault for being so petty that he sees minor inconveniences as a life-changing tragic events, and for being so ignorant that he never admitted that scar on his face needed to be treated. Here, Scar's guard will be fleshed out characters. There's Apepo, who is at Toko's age and is his best friend and the fastest. Mstari, the youngest member of the group, who is a teenager by the time Toko is an adolescent, and is the keenest of sight, and he looks up to his hero Toko, kinda like the Tails to Toko's Sonic. And the two brothers Kubwa and Mrofu, who are the strongest and bravest respectively. They are adults by the time Toko is an adolescent, so go and read it for yourself if it interests you. Toko is being taught by his uncle Oni, who is the Lion Guard leader of the time. Toko doesn't really pay attention to his lessons. Toko already can't stand Mufasa and is blind to his kindness. Toko and Apepo want to play at the lake. They can only do it under Kubwa and Mrofu's watch. Two brothers named Reiji and Niwali also want to come with them, but Toko doesn't get along with Reiji, so they will ditch them on the way. Mstari, who at this point can't even talk, secretly follows Toko and Co. He is a very curious cop. He will bring himself in trouble and Toko will show his leadership skills to save him. His friends do the heavy lifting, but Toko thinks most of the credit should go to him because without his high IQ, they couldn't work as a team, not realizing the main component of their heroicness is their teamwork. Toko's Lion Guard seems to be already chosen. Reiji is salty that he is not part of the team, so he will throw a rotten baobab at Toko's head, call him a princess, and later will make a fool out of him. So later Toko tries to throw an egg at his head as revenge, but Mufasa stops him. Reiji finds it out and ridicules Toko for it, so Toko comes up with a much more mischievous plan. Toko pulls a prank that almost kills Reiji. Oni saves Reiji before Toko gets him killed. The adults won't have a harsh punishment for Toko because they believe Toko was too young to know what exactly is killing and how bad it is, not knowing that Toko really wanted to kill Reiji. Time will pass and Toko is a preteen now. They just mentioned that he and Mufasa couldn't find Udugu together. Yeah, a mention is enough. We don't need to tediously recreate all of Kayon's story for Toko. Mufasa, Toko and his friends are looking for yellow fruits for Ukumbushu. We realize Reiji and his brother wanted to be part of the guard because their mother is too harsh on them. That's because they are the only family that never was part of any guard. Toko is still mad at Reiji despite having his revenge, so he will throw some fruits at him. Toko continues being sassy, so Mufasa yells at him to stop. Reiji tells Toko that there will always be someone more important than him. Now Toko is enraged, so he attacks Reiji. Mufasa attacks Toko to stop him, Reiji attacks Mufasa to protect his friend, and Mrofu attacks them all to make them stop fighting, and chaos ensues. The rest run to find an adult because the ones fighting can't be stopped. Zuzu comes and tells them that Oni is damaged and he might die. A horrified Toko runs to where Oni is. He is alive, but he will lose an arm, which means he is retired now and Toko is the Lion Guard leader. This disaster was the doing of two cheetahs. Taka will gain the roar and will send them away. An outlander teenage lioness named Zero will see it from afar. Now that Oni is out of commission, Taka will soon gather his guard and their first official team mission is to do the Ukumbushu stage play. More time passes and Taka is a teenager now. He still doesn't listen to his lessons. Zero makes trouble here and there to make Taka use the roar again because her father Nunka wants to know more about it. Zero's parents are abusive, Nunka being neglectful, and Zero's mother Bianca just being a psycho who barely ever talks and only lives to beat up Zero and love Nunka. She acts more like a pet than a person. She will stick to Nunka when she thinks her daughter is getting more attention from her mates. Oni is Taka's advisor now. Zero will bring more trouble. Mufasa manages to solve the problem before Taka does enough to satisfy himself. So he gets angry and uses the roar anyway, which was exactly what Zero needed. She tells Nunka all the details she knows. Even more time passes and Taka is an adolescent. The Lion Guard will see some antelopes. Their leader thanks Taka and asks him how can she make it up to them. Taka answers, "You could run slower at supper time." His attitude, man, I love it. Nunka meets Taka and takes advantage of his greed in order to trick him into being beaten by a cobra. Nunka tries to make Taka do as he is told in order to get healed, but Taka roars at them with rage, killing them. That's the only time Bianca actually talks. Oni warns Taka that if he was bitten by a cobra snake, then he should treat it before it brings the worst out of him. But Taka assures him that the snake wasn't a cobra. Oni talks to Ahadi about it, but he is blind to all of Taka's red flags. He thinks Taka calling himself Scar and acting cruel is just a phase. Scar indirectly asks his guard to help him dethrone Mufasa. They obviously decline it. Scar pretends to be just joking about it and goes away, leaving his friends horrified. Scar will see Zero in trouble and saves her the same way Kiara was trying to save her. I believe Scar and Zero fell in love at first sight, but they don't want to admit it. Scar realizes Zero has been stealing from Pride Lands, but if she had been doing this for such a long time, it means she is a very useful lioness. So he takes her to Pride Rock and tells his parents that he just found her and didn't mention her trespassing. Zero tells Scar that when one day she came back from hunting, she just saw her father dead, her mother crying over it. She tried to approach them, but Bianca hit Zero, giving her the ear notch. So she left them. Bianca probably died from a broken heart next to Nunka's corpse. Scar will show Zero around and talk about his abilities. During it, Zero tells Scar that he is too pretty to be a killer, which is priceless. They will hunt together. Later, Zero tells the truth about her family because she wants to know if he killed her father. Scar admits it, but Zero actually is happy to know. She didn't see any blood on Nunka and was afraid that he died in a lame way like from a heart attack or something. But now that she knows he was killed by a smarter and stronger lion, she feels relief. The way Nunka adored power, it is safe to assume Zero is taught to stick to the ones with more power. From now on, Scar and Zero are completely honest and loyal to each other. Zero will help Scar reach the throne, and the first step would be killing Scar's friend. The venom has probably lowered Scar's IQ level. He knows killing Mufasa with the roar will take it away, but somehow he believes killing his friends with the roar is fine because he is the rightful heir, and if they stand against him, they would be the evil ones, not him. I think it would be better if Scar didn't know he can't use the roar for evil because this excuse is just plain dumb. Uru will tease Scar for having a girlfriend. Scar and Zero will act suspicious, but Ahadi assumes they are just two lovebirds being sneaky. Zero will take the guard to Scar. He warns them for one last time. They will either help him become king or die. They will choose death. Msari is conflicted. He finds it hard to accept that his hero isn't a hero. Apepo's situation even more complicated. Scar still considers him his best friend. He feels remorse for what he is going to do. He won't enjoy killing his best friend, but in the end he knows he is too weak against his greed. Scar loves Oppepo as a friend, but he loves himself more, so he will trade his best friend for the throne. Scar begs his best friend to join him so that he doesn't have to kill him, but Oppepo, just one step away from bursting into tears, tells Scar that he would rather die. So Scar closes his heart and kills them with the rope. Yeah, this page broke me. I do feel bad for all guard members, but Oppepo's death spatially made me sad. He was the one person that was always on his side, even when he knew Scar was wrong. I mean, dude once fought Mufasa to protect him. Even when he would disagree with Scar, he would say it in the least harsh way. Scar was blind to Oppepo's support and loyalty. They really had something special going on, but Scar so easily let go of it. I would like to see Scar at least show a little bit of guilt after killing him, but no, it is the last time Scar thinks about Oppepo or the rest of the guard, which shows just how evil he is. I think it would be interesting to see an AU in which Oppepo actually joined Scar. I could imagine him do this to prevent Scar from killing more innocents, kinda like Odin and Mimir. Scar was obviously wrong and he lost the rope. He panics but Zero calms him down. Scar tells the Pride about it and tries to blame the Venom. His parents were willing to selfishly ignore the fact that he killed 4 lions and devastated many more to keep their son safe, but Omni had enough. Omni says that the Venom doesn't turn anyone evil. It just brings out what is buried inside, and even if it turned him evil, it is still his fault for not seeking help sooner. Ahadi tells Omni, "Get out of my sight. We will deal with this without you." So Omni leaves. What I appreciate about this story is that Scar was a bad person from the beginning. If Scar was a good guy but then suddenly became evil, it would be lame. But here the Venom just fastened the process. Scar would eventually descend into darkness anyway, even without the snake in the way. Ultimately, it was 90% Scar's own fault. But I have to say 10% of it was the fault of Ahadi and Uru. They let their love for their boy blind their eyes to his evil deeds. They failed to teach Taka not to be petty and greedy. They just chose to trust Taka all the time. They didn't force Taka to seek cure for the Venom. Even now, they wanted to just say the Venom makes you evil and end the topic. They chose to take actions way too late. Scar is still mad at Reiji. Reiji now realizes that he shouldn't feel bad for Scar anymore. Now he knows how petty and immature Scar is. Ahadi, with a broken heart, will banish Scar until the end of his reign. Before Scar leaves, he says to Zero, "They don't know you were there. Stay at Pride Rock for both our sakes." Scar goes out of Pride Lands, leaving everyone heartbroken. From now on, Scar will embrace his villainy. Scar had been living in the Outlands for a while now. He misses Zero. Shenzi, Banzai and Ed attack him. He roars on them, but he soon realizes he is no threat without the roar of the elders. Should have learned how to fight instead of depending on the roar, huh? They will take him to Shenzi's parents. They are relatively good people, but the other hyenas are hungry and desperate. So Scar manipulates so that they would become allies with him, despite them knowing he is a murderer. They want to eat Scar, but he says why should they eat him when there's so much more food in the elephant graveyard? The leaders say there belongs to the Jackals. Scar says he killed all the Jackals. The leaders actually knew it, but they still thinks it doesn't belong to them. This makes the other hyenas angry because they don't care about doing the right thing when they are starving to death. This is the first event that makes the hyenas respect Scar more than their own leaders. Shenzi is the firstborn, but her younger sister Uso is the future ruler, because only Uso respects the circle of life. So Scar takes advantage of that to have Shenzi on his side. Scar tells Shenzi that at least his parents choosing his big brother makes some sense, but Shenzi's parents choosing her younger sister is totally unfair. If it's not favoritism, then what is it? Which works on Shenzi. Scar has basically become the devil, corrupting the hyenas. They used to respect the circle of life because of their noble leaders, but now with Scar's influence they are becoming lazy and disrespectful. Scar and Zero will have a funny reunion. Scar asks Zero to hunt for his new allies for a few months in order to continue the alliance. Zero asks if this new ally is a lioness. Scar says that they are a hyena pack. Zero accepts. In this story, Shenzi is in a polyamorous relationship with Banzai and Ed. She inherits that from her parents. Yes, she has one mother and two dads. During a talk with Shenzi, Scar says he had to kill his guard. Shenzi says the only thing more cliche would be to say I didn't mean to, which is a good self-aware joke. Scar suggests killing Uso to Shenzi. She says she should think about it. At first, Shenzi was horrified. She actually wanted to tell her family about it. She intended to kick Scar out or kill him, but she only sees Uso. Shenzi tries to warn Uso, but she refuses to listen. Uso is done being respectful to Shenzi, so she starts roasting her. So Shenzi leaves. She thinks about what Scar said, and now it doesn't feel like a bad idea. I know almost all the times their arguments was Shenzi's fault and not Uso's, but here if Uso just listened to Shenzi and didn't scold her, Shenzi would have told her about Scar's plan, and they together would get rid of Scar and their sisterhood would probably have been fixed. It shows how just a few words can destroy lives. A tongue is sometimes sharper than a blade. So Scar successfully corrupted Shenzi and now they are going to kill Uso. So Scar was the one that turned Shenzi and the hyenas into monsters. In the end, he was killed by the monsters that he created. Scar and Shenzi will throw Uso in a river with hungry crocodiles in it. They will make Uso's death look like a tragic accident. So now Shenzi becomes the future hyena leader. When Zero tells Scar that they have realized she is hunting for him, Scar says she no longer needs to hunt for them. The hyenas will do it themselves. Zero can't stay away from Scar anymore, so she will get Ahadi killed and will make it look like an accident during a hunt. It won't be the only time in a fan comic that Zero kills one of Scar's parents. Shenzi will hear about Ahadi's death and tells Scar about it. Scar is devastated. He will stay in a place far from the hyenas so that Zazu won't suspect when he wants to find Scar. This single panel says so much. There's still a small part of Scar that loves his family and now he is mourning. Somehow it hits much harder without seeing Scar shed even a single tear. This is one of those few Lion King fan comics in which Ahadi wasn't abusive towards Taka, so he really is sad about his death. Zazu tells Scar that Uru is also dead. Now Scar is even more devastated. Uru couldn't live without her beloved husband. Zazu escorts Scar to Pride Rock. Oni has a mate and cub now. Better late than never, I guess. Scar tells Mufasa that he is healed and the venom won't affect him, but he still wants to be called Scar so that he would never forget his mistake. Oni shows up and reads Scar like a book. He had been begging Ahadi and Mufasa to make Scar's banishment permanent, but they wanted Scar back. Mufasa tells Scar that their parents were depressed without him, and they always wish to have him back. Now that they will never see him again, Mufasa wants to at least do what they wished. And also now that very little of their family is left, he wants his brother to be close to him. When Scar asks, Mufasa says Oni had been worried about what Scar might do so much that he was always arguing with Ahadi. He stressed him so much it aged him. He even had a heart attack once. So now everyone is worried about him putting himself under mental pressure. Zero sees Scar and gives him a tackle hug. Mufasa tells the rest that Scar is welcome back to Pride Lands, but he still isn't a prince. Scar knows Zero killed his father and he is mad at her. For like 5 seconds only. He loves her too much and can't hate her for more than that. Besides, he killed her father too, so I guess they are even. And both of their mothers died from a broken heart as the result of the death of their fathers. It got similar in a weird way. After a few months, a machine dano will happen. Zero is excited to see it, but Scar says they won't. Zero asks him what is more important than catching a good old-fashioned fight. Scar's answer is committing a good old-fashioned murder. This couple, man, I love them. Everyone will be watching the machine dano except for Mufasa, who will be patrolling. They will make Boma the blind buffalo attack Mufasa through a misunderstanding. Yes, Boma should still be part of Scar's story, even if he is not gonna give Scar his scar. Boma hits Mufasa, but before he kills him, Serabi and Nanda, one of her sisters, show up, so Scar and Zero protect Mufasa so that they won't suspect them. Scar kills Boma. Mufasa thanks Scar before passing out. Serabi asks Scar to carry Mufasa. He agrees, but Mufasa is too heavy for him, which leads to a funny moment. So Nanda helps him carry Mufasa. As a thanks, Mufasa will make Scar a prince again, and the entire Pride Lands trusts Scar again, which makes Zero a princess by marriage. Also, they inform that Serabi is pregnant. Scar thought he had a great day, but now his day is ruined. Scar says to Zero, "Do you remember me saying that we shouldn't wait too long because they might have an heir? Remind me to take my own advice sometimes." Now that Scar is a prince, becoming a king is easier for him. He wants to wait for Serabi to give birth, because if he also killed Serabi, it would be too perfect for him and people would suspect. Scar and Zero will have a cute moment before seeing Ami. He is such a tragic character. He is the only one who knows what a snake Scar is, and nobody listens to him, so he can do nothing but hope that the worst won't happen. Oni tells Scar and Zero that he knows what they were doing, but all he can do is to beg them. Oni begs Scar not to kill his own brother. Zero wants to say Mufasa isn't the only one who will die. She tries to mention Serabi's unborn baby, but Scar stops her because he doesn't want Oni to be more devastated than he is now. He is already mourning the eventual death of Mufasa. Knowing a cub will die as well will make him much worse. Deep down in his heart, Scar still loves his uncle. Oni is too old and his heart is too weak. He dies in front of Scar and Zero. Scar says to Ani, "I'm sorry, uncle. I really am sorry." We could say both in fiction and reality, we have 3 types of villains. First are the ones that genuinely think they are doing the right thing. Second are the people that they know what they are doing is wrong, but they enjoy it. But there's an interesting third type of them. The type that know what they are doing is wrong, and yet they continue doing it. Not because they enjoy it, but because they believe they are too weak against their dark sides. Scar is that third rare type of bad guys here.